Spoon TV. Wireless.
Hello, it's Georgia continuing our Backstage access to wireless exclusive. And man, you probably know his face, but we're sitting down because we've got a bit of an injury, Mr Hudson. Hello, and are you okay?
I'm good. You know, we were up at Wakestock. I wasn't even drunk, but I love getting close to the crowd, and the stage was like too far from the crowd, so I was like, let me jump down and you know, reach out to people, and I just didn't land too well. No one's fault but my own, and I trashed my foot, but it's all good. Worse things happen, don't they?
You could say you're just really dedicated to your fans and your music, really.
Well, it was very embarrassing, and I said on the mic, I said, look, I'm just trying to give it 1,000%, and I just wanted to get it, you know, I like to break down that invisible wall between performer and audience, so I can get them involved and literally touch the front row. And I just said, look, man down, but you need to help me out. And they sang Supernova like they raised the roof. It was amazing. And when the adrenaline dropped, thank God the NHS, man, they gave me, in the ambulance they gave me morphine and laughing gas. I was like a stand-up comic in that ambulance. I thought I was funny, I probably wasn't, but anyway, that's a long-winded story. I bust my foot.
So you just come off stage. How was that with your injury?
I loved it. I tried not to forget about it because I didn't want to make it worse. But you know, there's a lot of people out there. You don't want to let them down. You know, you don't want to go cancelling shows. So I just went out there. I wasn't my usual self in terms of jumping around, but the adrenaline kicked in, and I just tried to give it my best. You know, the crowd were amazing. I ended up in the crowd as per usual.
Really, with a busted foot? Good for you.
Yeah.
So you've done some really big movements from Mr Hudson in the library. Now you're signed with Kanye West. How did that come about?
He heard that first record, you know. It wasn't the biggest seller ever. You know, there weren't a lot of discs on the wall. But that first album, I suppose it was almost like, not a manifesto, but it sort of said, look, this is what we're about, this is what I'm about. And it made sense to some people. I think, you know, particularly other musicians and producers, and maybe that's why Kanye said, look, I want to help out, and thank goodness he did. You know, here we are, and Supernova, and then, you know, obviously he linked me up with Jay, and that's changed my life, and I'm aware every day that I'm a very lucky boy.
Does he give you a lot of advice?
Who?
Kanye?
You know, Kanye's amazing. He doesn't patronise me, he doesn't talk down to me. If anything, he just shows me. He just lets me see how he works, and I learn a lot. And I'm applying that to my stuff. I applied it to Straight No Chaser when I made that record in my bedroom up in North London. And now I'm working on new stuff with people like Casper and Chaser Status.
Oh yeah.
Listen me tune. So yeah, I'm back in the lab when we're not doing festivals. I'm really on my dubstep thing. I'm trying to get back to the clubs in London, see what the heads are listening to, really on street level, because that's where I get my nourishment.
Yeah, because I was going to say, you've been supporting Team UK, you've been working with N-Dubs. Is there anybody else that you've noticed while you've been out and about?
I mean, I tend to listen to producers more, particularly in the urban scene, because I have no ambitions to be a rapper. So I listen for production. Like with the songs, I'm good. But the production, I need to be fed new ideas. So yeah, I've been listening to Casper, Chaser Status, Nero, a couple of producers from, you know, the other side of the pond, like J.O.B. and Excision. So I'll spend hours on getting lost in YouTube, and I love, you know, I'll be like on F64, seeing what people are spitting, and I love my street level stuff, Newham Generals, Devlin, whatever, you know, and it's really good to see people like Pro Green coming through. Who would have thought that so many rappers would be climbing the charts? And I don't mean the top 40, I mean the top 10, top 5. So I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. Rappers are getting signed again. It's good news.
You guys mentioned you're a bit of a fan of our F64 series. Have you got any favourites?
I think Pro Green killed it. Sway killed it, although he did about 164 bars. Naughty boy. He smashed it. I love seeing acts like like Tinchy, and people see, obviously there's a mainstream side to what they do, you know, for the mainstream, but to see just some Aggie bars in the backstage, and they're just like, look, let's take it back to basics. And I think F64 is a great way of people doing that, and it's a great platform. And you don't mind, you'll load up have a load of them, because they're not spitting for 5 minutes. Nothing's too long. It's not a long thing. So you just like, I'll listen to half a dozen F64s and then go off and do something else. But I love it.
And as I say, we've talked about how far you've come. You must be getting recognised quite a lot. Are there any kind of darker sides that you found to your success?
No.
No, absolutely not. How about the high point?
I mean, it's all good. You know, 100% of people that have come up to me in the street or in the supermarket or in the club, it's all been positive. I haven't had any negativity, and you know, long may that continue. So it's all been good. I mean, you know, you need your privacy, but just, you know, hopefully people don't know where I live. So.
Okay, and we're doing the New Era Cap of Truth today. Would you be up for having a question?
The Cap of Truth.
Are you ready?
Okay, I think I got two.
Yeah.
No, I got one.
Go for it.
Two. I got one.
It's all right. What's the wildest thing you've ever done?
I'm not particularly a wild child. And if there was something really, really wild, I wouldn't tell you about it. But really naughty. The wildest thing I've ever done. Let me think. Oh yeah, I got back from my first week working in Hawaii. Started work on the Blueprint 3, and I got back. I went to see Batman Returns in the Angel at the cinema there. I came out. I'd left my phone in the cinema. I went back in. It was on the floor. Turned it on. It said, and it was from Kanye. It was like, get on the next plane to LA with Starting 808s and Heartbreak. And that was just to do that, to fly back around the world and then back around the world in a day. That was pretty wild.
It's pretty wild.
And I mean, that's just, it's been a crazy 18 months, and you know.
And long may it continue, sir.
Is that wild? Is that the kind of?
That's big. It's glam. It's wild.
I mean, the other thing, pretty wild, throwing myself off the stage into the crowd and breaking my foot. That's kind of wild.
Do you think you're going to be more careful in future?
That's this week's wildness over and done with. I think I will be more careful. It was my fault. I got on an unsteady box, and you know, I'm gonna before shows go and test all the bass pins and see that they're stable.
Well, there we have it. Hopefully you'll be all right, and you're going to be going for a long time.
Lovely talking to you, darling.
Goodbye.
Peace.